So my name is Bundie Kabanze. I am the Regional Co-Director for at Global Fund for Children. My main job is managing the relationship between our partners and GFC. I'm the face of GFC to the partners. I'm the one who the partners know, the one who gets to interact with them and support the grant making that we do at Global Fund for Children. So Pete came to me sometime in 2017 somewhere, and he came to the office, and I was working in DC that time. And usually partners don't find us, we find organizations. But he came to Global Fund for Children, and he told us what he was doing. He was introduced by one of our former grantee partners. And he told us, he told me the story, and I was really trying to figure out where he would fit into the ecosystem of Global Fund for Children. But what stood out for me was the passion that he had, and he already knew where he wanted to go. So it was easy for me to think about where GFC would fit in the trajectory that he wanted to go. A whole lot. Yeah, it's not the CSP that I knew then I only knew Pete, one table, two chairs, and now I'm looking around and I'm seeing the growth that has happened. So a lot of things that have happened. The programmatic focus has evolved from just prison reform to all the other wraparound services. Even the leadership. I think Pete now is no longer on like managing the organization, is more on fundraising and this big picture thinking for the organization, the direction the organization is going. So a lot of growth, both programmatically, both at the organizational level, and just the way things are done. There has been plenty of them, but I think going to Kamai, the prison, and seeing the work that was being done. It was the first time I'd ever been to a prison, even close to a prison. And because I had the different perceptions of what happens in prison, the kind of people that you might find in prison. But getting that experience to actually walk in there, interact with the girls at Kamai, and it was so memorable for me. And to see Pete in his element, and to see him from being on that side to being on this side, I think that for me, and there's something magical about somebody who really understands the psychology of what is happening with the people that we're interacting with, all those things. I think it was really memorable for me. Seeing change. I would be one of my KPIs. I've given myself a KPI is that I do not want to come here every year and see exactly the same thing. If I come here, I visit, I talk to the capacity support that we give, and I come again next year and see exactly the same thing, I think that would be very disappointing for me. So my what keeps me motivated to continue interacting with CSP is I'm seeing the growth that is happening from one idea to actually it's evolving to incorporate other things that would be critical to realize the goal of the organization. I think that's what keeps me motivated. I think it's the belief that people can change, that when you meet people at one point, you're just experiencing that one part of them. When I spoke to the girls at the prison, because I mainly went to the girls' prison, and I heard their stories, and my perception of who they are changed because of the conversation that I had them. I think the legal system sometimes, or not even the legal system is kind of like a product of our social system. I think it labels people out of like one tiny moment. You are playing, you get a stone, you hit somebody, and somebody dies. You go to prison for the rest of your life for that one thing that doesn't even represent who you are. So for me, I think just the belief that people should not be identified by like one very tiny piece of their entire life. I think for me, that's what resonates with me about Crime Si Poa. One, a vision. You have to know where you're going. And I got that from the conversation that I had with Pete. Second, I think it's kind of related to that. It's having an identity. You know who you are. And if you know who you are, it becomes very difficult for somebody to come and make you who you are not, which is what I see in a lot of organizations. Great organizations start and they get money from here, from there, and in the end, 5 years, 10 years down the line, they don't even know who they are. But if you know why you exist, and so which goes to the goal, I think that I admire that most. That's a difficult question. That's a difficult question, and I know there's always a struggle to. Okay, let me pick one thing. One of the things that me and Pete talked about at some point was when he started the greenhouses in the prisons, and I did tell him to say, like, you need a very different set of skills to do entrepreneurship. You might go grow the peppers and the tomatoes, but it's a different mindset that you need. But if I have to put that in the context of what is happening now with USAID and everything, I think one thing that I would want to change or something that needs to be considered here is sustainability. How are you going to be sustainable as an organization? I think that for me, that's very critical. There's a lot of dependency on international funding, but what can you do with your current offerings that can make you sustainable as an organization? Of course, this is not saying that you will need the organization to be sustainable in terms of the problem should exist for the organization to be sustainable. No, what I'm saying is that the problem is always going to be there. And it's growing in communities because of different aspects of what is happening. So CSP needs to exist, to continue existing to be able to solve this. Everywhere. There's a lot of opportunity and there's a lot of need for what CSP does. There's a lot of impact that is being done where it is. Now imagine if you had mean Crime Si Poas in everywhere around the country. What amount of change? Because there are a lot of people that are not aware of their rights. So I think where I would want it to go is to be everywhere in the country. And I know there's already conversations to establish in Uganda. I'm not sure how far that has gone, but that just speaks to the need of what CSP is doing. I try to come to CSP every year, and the reason I continue coming, there are other organizations that we have supported in Kenya, in Nairobi, and I don't go there. There's something that keeps me coming here, and it's this change, because Global Fund for Children at its core, we just develop organizations. We want organizations to grow. So if an organization is the same every time I come, then I feel like I've failed. But I keep coming here, and I keep getting inspired. At GFC, we only support organizations depending on availability of funding, we only support organizations for like 3 to 4 years. We've been with CSP since 2019. And every opportunity that comes, we try to present it to CSP. And the reason for that is because there's great stuff that is happening here. There's every opportunity that I get for Pete to speak somewhere, I call him because there's a lot that is happening here that a lot of organizations that can learn. So I'm happy to be associated with CSP. I'm proud of what we have built together because I feel that I'm part of the organizations.